Hello and welcome to this video. This is a very special video where I'm going to talk about a BI tool which is Incorta, and also we are going to discuss how can we use it and integrate it with Power BI. Now Incorta is a BI tool which is based on Spark, and you can take the advantage of fast Spark processing with help from Incorta, and we have experienced that with various customer implementation we have done with Incorta. Now I have experimented few tools in the past, and one of the tools which I have worked with is Incorta. And the way Spark architecture has been configured in this particular tool and the way it supports multi-tenancy is really amazing. So you can actually go and explore this tool. This tool also provides you a free demo version where you can actually go ahead and experience it. Now, so you can go to the Incorta site, incorta.com, and find more details about it. And you can also look at the architecture, how Incorta is placed. So Incorta has various data connectors, that it has parallel data loaders, schema, and the most important part, it is Spark engine. Now, while you're working in Incorta, Incorta allows you to write down the complex metallized views on top of your data, which is kind of a ETLing, and those metallized view can be in Python, can be in SQL, and can be in other languages, but really very powerful. And one of the biggest advantage which we have experienced, that we were able to work with the snowflake schema or basic data schema which we have. On top of that, whenever we needed a more aggregated table, we were able to use either Python or SQL to create more complex views on top of it, and able to use that in the visualization layer. Now, while Incorta has its own visualization layer, we can still go ahead and use it with Power BI or Tableau or Excel or MicroStrategy. What we are going to do is, at the end of this demo, we are going to configure it on Power BI and see, so that we can know how can we use it easily with the Power BI. The only thing is we need a Postgres connector, and Postgres connector is available with Power BI. Now, how you can get Incorta. So this is a documentation for Power BI, this one, which I'm going to give you a link also. Now, to get Incorta, you do go to cloud.incorta.com and you have this sign in, but you can go to the create account and you can create it. So you need to sign it up, and once you sign it up, you will get a couple of emails with your user ID and passwords, and you have to launch your instance. So once you log in, you have to launch your instance. Typically, launching of a new instance will take anywhere around 10 to 15 minutes, and sometime if the session logs out, you can log in and check back again. Now, Incorta, because of the demo version, might not allow the instance to be up and running always, but for your users purposes, as long as you're working, it will be up and running. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an instance and come back. I already have an instance, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump onto that instance. So let me open that instance and come back to you. So I have logged in into the Incorta, and there was a button to start my instance. I have started it. Now I can see the connect button, and there is a detail button. Now detail button, if I click, it will show me the information, and it also give me the SQL interface details with external BI tool which I can use. And I can also see what kind of cluster I have, what is the uptime, and all those. So these are the details which can help you. And this is, as this you can see, this is a very small instance. Don't expect the very high level of performance with the trial version or the demo version. So you can go ahead and upgrade and test it for the better performance. And also there was because I created it some time back, I was having an upgrade option here, and I upgraded to the latest Incorta version. Now I will jump back to the page from where I come in, and I will connect to the Incorta, or I can connect from here. So I actually click here to connect to my Incorta, so that I can bring in data and create some kind of instances where I can actually go ahead and do data analysis. So let it connect with my instance, and we'll continue from there. Okay, so my instances are starting. So it is starting my cluster, it is starting my Spark cluster. So once that starting is done, I will be able to log in into the Incorta BI tool, and will be able to do my analysis. As my instances are up and running, I have an option to open the Incorta BI tool. So once I click on it, the URL has changed. So in this video I'm not showing you the URL, but I've shifted to Incorta login URL, and typically the tenant name would be default for our demo, but we can change it there, and once we have the password and everything, we should be able to log in. Now, so there are a couple of places where you have this login. Once there is a management login for CMC, and there is a login for the tool, so you can actually manage separately, like an admin role. So you have the CMC, you don't want developers to see that, so that kind of different roles you can create in Incorta, and based on that you can assign them the management console, or you don't want to assign the management console, you can decide that. So that is done for the security aspect, and you have some security aspect details here where you will be able to see all those details. Now what you can do is Incorta do provides you the data which you can use for your demo purpose, or you can actually learn Incorta using those. Incorta has a pretty good documentation and videos around it from where you can go ahead and learn each and every feature. So what we can do here is I'll show you the various tabs. So there is a content tab. First of all, here your all dashboards and reports are stored. Typically in Incorta, everything we call is a dashboard. After analysis, we save it, it becomes dashboard. We can organize that into the various folders we want. Now scheduler is very good property I found. You can schedule the components of the dashboard to come to you in a data format, and can schedule at a different time. That is also good. And there is a scheduler for your ETL also, like if you're bringing in data, you can schedule at what time it need to come. Now business schema is something, in Incorta you have two kind of schema. One schema where you bring in the data, and then you can actually go ahead and rename and create different kind of roles. So basically, if you might have heard this manager role, this role, that role, that's where the business schema is. And in business schema you can have your own formulas separately, so it means those formula will not be available to the users which are there as part of the normal schema where those formulas are not available. So you can have separate formulas in each business schema. You can have the same base, and you can create more business schemas on top of it. Now the schema is the one where you are going to connect to the database, and from there you are going to get the data and create a schema and relationship and everything. So that's where your schema is, and the data is the first place where you are going to establish the connections with the various database. You will establish the connection, and then you can create a schema on top of it. So what we are going to do is we are going to store a local file, and to do that I'm going to create first of all a folder. So I will call this folder as demo sales, and I'll add it. And please remember, your names are in Incorta are case sensitive because it's based on Spark. So at few instances you need to take care, if you're giving init cap or something, you need to take care that those are taken care when you use the name, if you are writing down a script. Now I can do here is I can use the plus sign and add data source, and I can say upload data file or upload data folder. So I will choose, and I need to drop it. So what I'm going to do is I have my own files which are available. So as usual, I have this data folder where I have my files, and I have this file might have given you many times on the Git link in all my videos is available. I'm going to use this one. So right now I'm not able to drag. I think I dragged it wrongly on the first time. So let me go back here, come back here. Still not able to drag. Yes, my Windows issue. Okay, so I have dragged it, it's uploading. So let's wait it for to upload. So file has been uploaded. So we have loaded our data, and post that we will come to the schema tab. Under the schema we have to create our schema and relationship, and we have to use that. So now what first thing we are going to do is we are going to create a schema. So what I'm going to do is I will click on the new button which is giving on the right hand side top, and I create schema. In the create schema, let me call it demo sales, and schema can take data from more than one sources. So you don't think that this is one-to-one mapping. And as soon as I created the schema, it has actually taken me to the load data screen, which I can actually click on the schema and can go also. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use file system because I already loaded data as file system. If I'm not loaded, I can use the connections, which database connections which I've created, so I can use those. So right now I will go to the file system. In the file system, I'm again going to use file system. Here also I can change while the time of loading local files, and here I'm going to use the Excel. So I've given Excel here. There is a beautiful incremental strategy which is available with Incorta. You can use it with the databases. It all provides you a variable with the date, and that date can be based on what you loaded last, based on your load time, or based on the one of the dates in the table itself. Very beautiful stuff. Try that out, and you can get your incremental data configured very easily with the help of that. You have to write down a small script to do that, but pretty easy. Now what we are going to do is we are going to take our demo sales data. So I clicked on demo sales data. This is my folder, and in the folder I pick up my Excel and I'll say add. So it should show me the worksheets which I have, and as you can see while I'm trying loading, it is on the back end, it started showing me the table. So I'm going to take the sales sheet and I'm going to call this as a sales table. So let it load. And another beautiful thing which I'm going to tell you is lying here. So now thing is, I can plus here and add one more source. Now if I have a same source Excel, I can have same source database 1, database 2, database 3, database 4. I can create a multi-tenant environment. While bringing in the data, the only thing I have to do is, if I'm able to write down, because I'm able to write down query here, I can say select, let's say 1 as company ID, or 2 as company ID, or 3 as company ID, or organization ID, or this ID or that ID. So that additional column will help me getting, you know, a company ID or organization ID or a tenant ID created here. Okay, so that's the feature which you can use, easily convert your multi-tenant environment, or your environment which is basically mega tenant, into a multi-tenant environment. It's clubbing up all of them together here at one place. And this could be one of the things which many of the organization has, that they have these desperate data sources which is lying at n number of places, and here in Incorta they can combine it. And on top of that, you will go and apply user security again and separate it out based on the requirement. So let's say I have 5 companies, I combine the all 5 company data here, and I'll secure and give one company to each, and then 3 company to someone, 2 company to someone. That is possible. That's the where this inbuilt kind of a tenant security which is Incorta has, is going to play a very crucial role. So just explore that out. So I'm going to call it sales right now, and as you can see, it has detected the data types and everything correctly. You can create certain formulas, and you can create across table formula. There are joins and everything which we are going to explore out here, and we will say done out here. And once we say done, this particular table is now available with us. So you can see in my schema I have one table. So let me add one more table. So here, to add one more table, I'm going to press new. Now from where this UI have come, so now because I've loaded, it has taken me to this UI, but otherwise I can click on a schema. I will get all the schema names, and in this schema name I can search for my schema. There's a single page right now. If there are more than one page, it will have a page numbers. I can click on demo sales, and I will reach to the same screen. Now once I reach to the same screen, I can see from where my table source has and everything has come. I can come back to this screen, I can cancel and go back, and I can change it. I can keep on doing the modifications. The only thing is, if you do a bigger modification, you have to load the data again, and it has an option here to load the data again, which you can explore. So load table. Okay, and when you configure incremental, you will also get an option to load the incremental data. You have a load now, load schedule, a full incremental, and staging. All these options are available. Pretty useful options. You just need to make sure that you configure your incremental load correctly, and it will keep on loading the incremental data based on the schedules. Now let's add our other tables. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say table, and I'm going to say file system. From the file system, again we are going to continue our steps, and we are going to take the same Excel file. I'm going to select that back, and from there again I'll repeat the same steps. And what I'm going to do, I'll show you this step again, and after that I'll load them in an offline mode and continue this video. So let me load the customer right now and show it to you, and let me load all 2 tables and post that. Let me continue that video. Let me call it customer and say done. I'll pause the video here, I'll come back, load both the tables, and then we will continue. So I am able to create my schema, and in my schema I have these 4 tables. Now remember that when I'm going to join it, I will have an option to join my table across schema. Now what is the benefit of creating more than one schema? So incremental load is scheduled at the schema level. So what we can do is, there are going to be tables which are frequent schedule require, so where you require to refresh them very frequently. Now such tables we can put it into one schema. Another set of table we can put it into another schema. Now dimensions might not change once in some dimensions do not change once in a day or once in a month, so I do not want to change those. So those I can keep in a different schema, and based on that I can schedule my incremental. So I can effectively plan my incremental schedules based on the frequency when I need to refresh the data. And sometime what happen, I might have a table which actually is pretty heavy, and if I run the incremental load, let's say every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes or every 1 hour, it's not possible. I can only do it once in a day. So those kind of transaction table or heavy transaction table I can put into one particular schema and then refresh them once in a day. So that thing can be done. Now typically initial load in case of Incorta is also pretty fast. So sometime if you have a smaller table, you can actually go opt for an initial load also instead of incremental. If you have not configured the incremental load for a table, remember, for a table, then that table in the incremental ETL or the schema incremental ETL is going to pick the initial load. So every table has to be configured for incremental if you want them to be incremental. Otherwise, even if you are running incremental, it will be refreshed as initial. Now, because of the initial refresh or incremental refresh, the way memory requirements are different. Like the data need to be loaded into the memory and the new data need to be created. So you need to work out with the Incorta partners or Incorta team what kind of configuration for the data you require. So based on that, create your servers and you can get the best output out of it. So now we have already created a schema, and now I know my sales table needs some relationship. While I can actually press here and I can create a join out here, or I can go to schema wizard and try out a few more things. What I can do is I can click on the sales table. Now sales table, I can actually create parent join and child join. So parent is basically parent tables, and because I know my dimensions are parent, I can click like here. Please remember in this case we are trying to make sales as a child and dimension as a parent. So let's try. So demo sales, what is the child table? We are going to call it sales, and here you can see there was a schema option, which is because I part of the schema, it is actually given me hided that option, but I can choose the sales table. Now I can start with city ID because I want to join, let's say, and here you can see that I have other schema access also. There's the date schema also which is available, so which might contain the default date table which is provided by Incorta. If you want to use, we can use that. So now sales is not the second table I want geography is the second table, and it automatically identify. It's not that I can have one join, I can have more than one joins. Okay, so let's say that is there, and let's say done, and let's see. Okay, so if we go ahead and see out here, we are able to see one child join. Okay, fine. So now we have one child join, and we can actually go join details. We can look at this one. Okay, we need more. We can go plus join as parent, join as child. Let's say join as child, demo sales, and then now we have customer ID, demo sales, customer ID, done. We should have one more join. Okay, very good. We have two joins now. Again, new join as child, and let's take this time what we have. We already joined with city, we joined with customer. Let's join with item table. So item ID, and we can have more than one joins if required. That's possible out here. Now we are done with this. Let's look at the sales table. Sales table has all these, and we'll press done. Okay, we can look at the diagram. This is how our diagram looks like. I'm done with my schema configuration, and one thing which we have to do now, once we are done with our schema configuration, is the load data. You can see that we have 0 rows out here, and the data size is also very less. This is just the schema size. And so what we have to do is we have to load the data. And first of all, load now full, load. So what happens when you are doing all these, schema was only created as a empty schema, and now it is trying to load the data. So once it is load the data, we will go ahead and explore the data. So it's taking some time, let it load, and it's going to show you the time. Now first time it might take some time, but next time onward, if you have created the incremental, it is going to take lesser time. So let it load, and it has done the loading. By we were talking around 30k rows has been loaded, and we can see geography has 100 rows, item table we did not get any rows, and customer table we did not get any rows, and we have sales which is having 30k rows. So let me check it out and say load table again. Let's see. So we loaded the data and we found that at few places the data is not loaded. So we have to debug this issue. So let's see it. Fortunately, we got such an issue. So let's try to see. So if I tried reloading the item and if I click on the rejected row, it has actually downloaded a CSV file. And when I looked at the CSV file, it is saying wrong in input string item 1. So let me go ahead and check the data types what I have, and then let me reload it again. So what I'm going to go back to my schema, demo sales, and in the demo sales, let me go back to the two tables, item and customer, and let me see what is wrong with those. So what I can see is this data type should be string, and brand ID is integer, category ID is integer, this is integer, this should be string, this should be string, and this should be string. And I say done. And similarly, let me check it out my customer table. Let me click on my customer table again. This is integer, age is integer, string, state. Now name cannot be this should be string or text. Let me make it a string and say done, and let me try to reload the data. So let me load the complete data again, or I can load the individual table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say load now full, load. So let's wait. Now quickly it has loaded again. Again we see 0 rows. No, it is in queue extraction. So that was not loading. Now post load is ongoing. So Incorta has these 2-3 parts. It's get the data into the memory, then it put it into the Spark system, and this time we can see there are more rows, 36k rows, but there could be some failure of the rows. So we will go back and check here in the load status. Let's click and see has anything has failed. Now extracted, loaded, extracted, loaded, extracted, loaded. So some complete successful. So we can go ahead and here look at what is the error, and then click on the error. It will download a CSV file. You can go ahead and look into the error and try to correct it. And luckily we got an error while recording this video, so we have an opportunity to showcase you that you can face error and you can correct it by yourself. So now what we are going to do, now we have a data, we have loaded the data, we go back to the schema, demo sales, and try to create one visualization to explore the data. So explore data is the option, and this might be sounding a bit different from other BI tool you use, but every BI tool has its own kind of nomenclature, but some of the things you will find very similar. Now I have not created the formula, the other thing which we could have explored. Now let's first create a visualization. Let's try to have that net sales formula and discount formula in place. So we will do that, but first of all let's now explore it. So what I'm going to do is let me try out my favorite brand and quantity. And quantity I'm going to do as a measure, and let's me click here, and I can see now here it is actually right now is showing me the data at the line level. Okay, so now this is the listing table, and I have various visual. Now here with Incorta you have a listing table where it's not going to group the data. So let me use aggregate table. Does it make any difference? And you can see immediately there is a difference. Now aggregate table. Now what other options I have? Now I have a pivot table which should do similar kind of stuff, but I need a column out here. So what I need to do here is I can put a category out here, and every table will have some kind of a requirement. So those requirements you have to fulfill. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to, let's say, column chart. And you can see because I have used column also with this one, so it has actually become a clustered column kind of a visual. Typically what we say in Power BI with legends, and category is the legend, and then beautifully, this is showing you, how can do this and that. So very beautiful stuff out here. Now you have stacked column. I can make it as a stacked column, and various other visuals you have. Let's say area. Let's explore the area visual, and let's explore area, stacked area, and stacked area percentage is another good visual I am seeing out here. So we can explore these visuals. You have stacked lines. A stacked line is one good visual I want, because lines I'm trying to stack, that is something really different. Instead of saying lines are simply lines, stacked line is something which is one over another, just like stacked area or stacked bar. Then you have percentage line, pie visual. As usual, you have a pie out here, and then you have branch, and definitely it doesn't require the second parameter, so it's not allowed out here. You have pie donut combined, you have sunburst, you have combined charts, you have spider chart, you have line series, time series, area range, and you have the map visual. So let's go ahead and try with the map visual. And in the map, let's drag our city and see does it identify now. And map is country, addresses, state. I don't see a city option here, so let me do one thing here is let me drag the state and let me call it as a state, and let me see. Oh, very good. So I dragged the state and called it a state, and it's able to identify that. Now there could be some chances because of the naming and everything, there could be certain things which you can correct. And now there are individual filter, aggregated filter. All this aggregated filter means it should be there on aggregated data. Individual filter means on the data. Let me try to save this visual and see what happens. So it is saving. It's not have asked yet a name for it, so maybe I go ahead and look into the schema or business schema if it has created something, or it might have created analysis. So let's wait while it is saving and then continue our exploration of data. It has actually created a dashboard for me, and as I told you in the content directly, a dashboard has been created with a particular tab. So you can have multiple tabs out here, and inside a tab I think you should be able to add more insights. So let me do one thing. Let me add one more insights and see where does it go. So we already have a saved dashboard, remember that. And let's try to use sales date as a grouping dimension, and let me try if I can say line as a time series or line. Just try it out, let's see. And a measure, let's see this one, what it has stored for us. Seems like we able to get it. Let's see what happens if I use time series here. Okay, so fine. So let's save this visual also, and I'm expecting it would become part of the same dashboard, and it has actually. And you can actually resize these visuals. So there are there's arrangement you can do of these visuals. You can have two visuals side by side, but remember Incorta, when you are storing in Incorta is a dashboard, and I think I should be able to rename it by some options. So I have a make copy option, and I have then plus options, and this is some option, properties, personalize, and ownerships, switch to compact mode, manage filter, configuration setting, move, copy to export, and delete. But fine, I'm right now fine with it. I double clicked here, I did not see option, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you the content tab, and in the content tab I am able to see this dashboard, demo dashboard 1, and here I have an option for rename, and I'm going to call it as demo sales 1, and I'm going to rename it. And now I can actually go ahead, and if you see, there should be option to download to Excel and CSV. Okay, so those I can use, set alerts, and all those options we can explore. Now what I have not done is I have not created any formula, and I can do that in business schema as well as in schema, but in schema at least I want to create one formula. So I would like to go to demo sales and would like to create a formula there. So in the sales table, let me see if I can create a formula. So I say add a formula column, and let me call it as gross amount. This should be without this one, and I can call it as a let me not call it as a major. Let me cancel it. I want it as, okay, maybe it's a major only. Now what I'm going to do here is I simply want to say it is quantity star price. Okay, validate and save, and let's say done. And let's go back to our explore data and see where we are able to get it or not. So let's see. So go to explore data once more, and in the sales table I'm able to see the gross amount. Okay, very good. Now let's try a few more couple more formulas. So let's go back to the schema and cancel it. I'm not going to save it this time. I'm going to go to the sales, and you know, we typically in all our configurations this is what we are doing. So new formula column, it's added here, and let's say we created gross. Let's create discount amount empty. I'm going to call it because discount amount, and in the discount amount formula again let's call it as a measure. Let's click here, and what is discount amount is where is our sales table. So we have discount percentage. Okay, so discount percentage star quantity star price divide by 100. Validate and save. Okay, we got one more formula. So our schema is done. We have done some exploration. Now it is time to create a business schema and see how can we use that. So business schema is one which you can share with users with some limitation. So what I'm going to do, I have created one test one which I would like to delete right now and create it once more. Let me see, there is an option on three dots to delete it. So let me delete this schema, delete, and I've deleted the demo sales, and let me create it. Okay, so create a business schema. I'm going to create a business schema with name of demo sales, and if this name is I think already taken by some object, so let me, okay, sales is there, but I don't want to like to use sales. Let me call it sales demo, and let me call it sales demo here too in the description. So let's try saving this one, and now we are here. Now here it says you welcome to the new schema. Here I'm going to say I'm going to add a new view. I have option to add folder, but right now I just wanted to add a view. View means what content I'm planning to give to the users, and here what I would done, I click on the plus button and I can see my schemas in this, and this is tables which I'm planning to add. If I have a view, I can add a view also, but let's go ahead and go to demo sales, and from demo sales let's choose all these four tables, and we are going to take some content or other content from all these ones, and if the names are same we are going to rename. So from customer, what I need is only the name of the customer, and this might match with something, so let me call it customer name. Okay, so only customer name I'm going to take. From geography I'm going to take state, and I'm going to take city. I can place it in a different order if I like. I taken a brand, I taken a category, and I'm going to take a subcategory also. Now name here is an item name now, and let me call it item name here. Now here what, so let me take discount amount, gross amount. Let me see if I want to take order number. Let's take quantity, sales date, and delivery date. Okay, so discount amount, gross amount we have taken, and let's see if we are able to create a new formula out here. So I can, let me scroll a bit up and let me drag it here. Let me see if I can create net sales. Okay, here we don't need a space. Net sales, net space sales, description should be same, and it's a measure, set formula. Let's see if we get a gross out here. We call gross sales, and subtract discount amount from it. Validate and save. So there's some problem, so let me do one thing. Let me say sum of this because these are already existing formulas, or maybe my session is expired. I have to check it out. Okay, so that formula was wrong. So now here it basically creates what we call in Power BI is a measure. So this is the true measure, what Power BI measure, and it's calling it as a measure only. So there we have created the formulas which we have created is kind of columns which we create in Power BI. Here what we have created is the measure which we call in Power BI. So we have used aggregation. So now I can say done here, and I'm assuming every information is saved. And once this information is saved, I should be able to use this business schema in creating my content. So if I create now a content here, now I'm going to create a new content out here. I came to the content tab and I'm trying to create a content. Now plus add a dashboard, and I get, let's say, demo sales to add. As I am the only user creating it, I should have access to everything, but we'll try to create it from the sales schema to see the difference. So let it add a dashboard for us, and then once the dashboard is added, we will be going to use the schema which we have created, the business schema, and try to create this dashboard. So we got a tab, and here we have a button for add insights. In the add insights, let's add a data set, and we have a tables, we have views, and this is sales demo view which is I'm going to add. So what I can do is I can restrict a user to give this view only, and then from there what we can do is let's pick up brand. Okay, I click there and listing table, I got it, and once I got it I can put brand out here, and then I have to, let's say, put gross sales, and then this we know the listing table here is different, so we will use aggregated table, same stuff what we have done. And now we can actually if you want some sorting order or filtering, we can actually do out there. So let us save right now, and once we save it, here actually you have a sorting already given here, and then there is edit button. I can actually go ahead and edit it again, and we have a net sales. If I remember, we created that one. So let me drag it into the measures, let it add. So quickly it has added it, and then there's a filter, then there's aggregation which it is showing it is sum, this is this, and on the individual one. So, and then if I want to add some filters, I can get aggregated filters, I can add it, but right now I don't want to do all those. So let me save it, and I was able to add it, and I can actually add more contents and all those or play around. But what we'd like to now do is let us jump and see, can we use this stuff on Power BI? So there is certain set of instruction. I'll show you the link. I'll give the link in the details of the video, and then you can actually look into that one. But I will tell you the steps here. Based on these steps, you should be able to try that out. So inside the Incorta documentation itself, you have a link, integration link, where you have how you want to connect it with Microsoft Power BI. So you can actually go ahead and find out those details. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open Power BI. So I already have opened one file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new file, and once the new file is open, we will try to add it as a Postgres database. So we will do that once Power BI is open. So Power BI is open, and I clicked on the get data, and in the get data, let me choose Postgres. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find out this tenant URL in my tenant. I'm going to show that to you also. So you remember we were there in this cluster detail, and inside this cluster detail we have these details where we have this URL, and I'm going to use this URL out here, and I'm going to put the database as default, and I need to use direct query and advanced option. Right now I'm leaving, and let's see if I'm able to connect with this. So it's trying to connect with that, and it has actually connected, and I got the stuff out here. Let me see if I see something like demo sales out here. Yes, I can see demo. So demo customer, geography, sales and item. Okay, and I'm right now not waiting for a preview. Let me do a load, and this is a direct query. So let it load, and once it is loaded, then we will see, try to create relationship in Power BI, and then we are going to go ahead and now query the data back from Incorta. Now Incorta, I have told you, is a Spark based cluster which is provided to you, and you can take the advantage of Spark live processing out here. This has been done and it has been loaded out here, and as you can see, this is direct query, so no more access to the data tab. But yes, if we want, we can actually create a sales table or date table out here and can do it. So let's quickly create the relationship. So this is our geography city, and we will connect it with city ID with city ID. Then we should, okay, let it load. Let it load sample data. We avoided there, it has actually has to load some data for our sample purpose. Perfect join, item ID, item ID. Another perfect join, and customer ID, customer ID. So done with this, we are ready to go. And here what we can do is we can actually go ahead and do what we were doing there also. We take the brand and go to sales and see what all it has provided to us. So what we can see here, we already got the gross amount, and I have another Excel sheet which is I have already created in Power BI. I just wanted to validate this number. So that's the number which is coming out here. This is from the number which we have, so this seems correct. So same configuration, that was in import mode, that's coming from here from the Incorta. So we are able to do it in Power BI. And then one last thing which we are going to explore here on Power BI, that what happens if we are able to create a date table here, and can we use that as a filter, let's say month year filter, if I want to do and create a date table out here. So what I'm going to do is I do have an option of create table here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table out here. I'm going to, let me call it as usual, I call it a date table, and I'll say calendar. And typically I have data from 2018 to 2020. So date 2018 1 comma date 2020 hyphen 12 hyphen 31, and we can do a add column on top of it, add columns, and we need month year. Right now I need a month year as a filter only. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get into the details of sorting and all those. There is we have need one additional parenthesis here. I'm going to simply create it into format date calendar is going to give us, and then I will call it YYY MM. And now you are able to see that because we have a table which is there in Power BI, so we are able to see that. And I'm going to use this date table, which the date, and I'm going to join it with sales date. Let me see the sales date. Where is the sales date? Okay, I have the sales data out here, and I'm going to join it. This is what I'm going to try it out. One to many seems correct to me. Okay, now I'm going to put a filter from here. So look at the numbers, month year sort, put it as a filter. Let's take a filter of 2019 too, and the numbers seems to have changed. Again, numbers are changing. See, so we have used Incorta, the Spark powered BI tool, as a backend for Power BI. Here we are doing the visualization in Power BI. So with Incorta, you have option utilize the Incorta UIs, Incorta schedulers to get your business intelligence done, or you can plug in Incorta using the Postgres connector in case of Power BI, and you have similar kind of stuff given for Tableau and also for MicroStrategy and Excel. So go ahead and utilize them, and do let us know if you face some challenges. Do let us know if you want more videos on Incorta and Power BI. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you.